Hello, my friends. Welcome to my timeline. Thank you so much for clicking on this video, and I really hope that you're having a beautiful day so far. My name is Jess, if we haven't met already. And today I just want to speak a little bit about what happened to me today. I had a beautiful experience going to a local cafe this morning. I just took my journal and I had my matcha. And while I was there and writing, I was reminded about the first time that I tried to journal in public. I took myself out for lunch alone, and I'm pretty sure it was the first time that I had ever done that as well. And I brought my journal, and I remember writing, oh my gosh, like I'm so embarrassed. I am alone. People are looking at me. Like I'm just sitting here writing. What are they going to think? And you could tell in my writing, I was nervous and I had fear and shame and I was very uncomfortable. And I was reminded when I was writing today, I didn't hold any of that negative emotion. I was just doing it and it felt so good. And I was sitting there and I was like, yes, like you belong in the space doing the thing that you are doing in this moment. Like, amazing. And so I finished my journal entry and I decided to get going, walk home. I put my jacket on, grabbed my book, and off I went. And one thing that happens to me is I get these little flashes, these visions of what streets I need to go down. So, you've probably heard the phrase like all roads lead to Rome. And I think about that when it comes to walking in my neighborhood. There's obviously so many different roads that you can take. So when I'm walking, I get these little flashes of where I should be turning essentially. And today I got a flash to turn down this one street. And I was walking and I noticed up ahead that there was um a woman with a cart, and I think it's fair to assume that she was homeless or at least in a place where she was collecting items because she was in need. And it was garbage day. So I'm walking and I was walking by her. I noticed that she ripped open the garbage bags and was looking through them. And I had the initial thought of, oh, like she is making a mess. She is opening these garbage bags on the street. And I was like, I wonder if the garbage men are going to take it. But I just simply like wished her well, as I do pretty much everyone that I walk by. And I started to carry on. I then noticed that there was a gentleman that was heading towards her. And it occurred to me that he was probably going to say something to this woman. And he did. He started growling awful, cruel, and unkind words to this woman, getting in her face. And instantly I knew that I had to try to do something. So I turned around and I had heard him growling at this woman to clean up the opened garbages. So I just went back and I said, "Excuse me, if you have an extra garbage bag, I will help you clean this up." And just stopped that just stopped him from continuing to have the conversation, and it gave her time to start walking away. And then instead of him saying, "Oh, thank you so much, I'll go get the garbage bag," he said another cruel thing about her and then wanted to go into a storyline about, I think I heard him say, it's a tenant and it's not even garbage day. But at that point, my body just walked away from him. Just walked away. And then I realized what had happened, that I just walked away without saying anything to him. And I was like, good, like, good for you. Like, you stopped the conversation, like, you ensured that she was safe and he wasn't going to do anything beyond these cruel words. And then you offered him help. And instead of him saying thank you, he wanted to continue down this storyline of whatever it was. And your body was just like, nope. Like, he's not getting my time of day. Like, he was being so cruel. It's like, you don't deserve my time and attention. And I was like slightly proud of myself that, I was able to do that. But my body, I feel like my body just went into this mode. And so that was a really interesting start of the day. And then the day continued. It was wonderful. We were, home most of the day. I was home with Jacob most of the day. We were just hanging out and doing what we always do. And then I wanted to take Sadie for another walk. So um, I got Jacob in his carrier, and we were on our way. And we ran into one of our neighbors, and this is a neighbor who always has dog treats in his mailbox. And in the summertime, he would offer us freezies, and he very, very kind human. And so we saw him, and he's like, "Oh, like, I'm heading down the road. Like, I gotta stock up on my mailbox treats. Like, you heading this way?" He's like, "I want to get you something." I was like, "Oh, sure, let's go." And so this was probably the longest conversation we ever had. And we walked, and we came to the store, and Sadie, Jacob, and I just waited outside, said hi to everyone walking by. He comes out, and, we get a couple treats, and then, we start walking home, or towards home. But we decided to, it was such a beautiful day. I said to him, I was like, "You know what we're going to do, and we're going to do an extra block. Like, I just want to stay outside a little bit longer." And, he's like, "All right, awesome. Like, enjoy your day." I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. You too. It was so nice to see you." And I was reminded that the last time that I saw him, he was so sad. Like, he was so sad. You could just see it in his eyes. And it was really nice today that he just seemed so happy and engaged and energetic. And he saw his mom, and we just had this beautiful chat. And it just brought me so much joy that we got to experience that together. And so we continue our walk, and we see another person in the neighborhood that we know. And Sadie goes up to her, and her and Sadie always have a good little moment. Sadie's like the sweetest dog ever. Like, she just goes up to people in the neighborhood, and she's just so kind. So, and this woman was, having a chat with Jacob, and then her and I were having a chat. And I got, and then and we finished, and I went home, and I was like, man, like, I hope that Jacob experiences at this time in his life, even though he's just like experiencing Oh, he was not with me during the first encounter. Yeah, he was not with me during that first encounter with the gentleman yelling, which I'm so glad, because the point I'm trying to say is like, Jacob has had such beautiful experiences with people and like apparent strangers, like people in our neighborhood or people we've met in, our play groups or at the factory or just everywhere we've gone. He's had such positive experiences with people. And I'm just so grateful that everyone stops to talk to him. Everyone says hi to his dog. Everyone has a smile on their face, and there's just nothing but like joy expressed and kindness. And he's so outgoing and joyful, and he brings that joy to people, and like he just has it within his being. And I was reminded today of stopping and or stopping to talk to people in the neighborhood, but also like having these conversations with the people in your web, and how you may not think that it's important, but like somebody might be watching, someone might be listening, someone might be seeing your interaction, and that might create a ripple effect that causes a positive change in someone's life, or a positive emotion in someone's life. And one of the reasons that I try to be so careful with what Jacob takes in, and myself, my goodness. I was reading, ooh, I was listening to an audiobook, and I believe, I believe it was Dr. Vasant Lad, and he is a Ayurvedic practitioner, Ayurvedic doctor, and it was Ayurveda of the Mind, I believe the book was called, and it was talking about like you being what you take in, um, and how ill health and imbalance can occur because of things that you take in. And so when Josh is swearing too much, I'm like, language. Like I don't want to take that in. I don't want Jacob to take in that negative language. Or when there's really harsh topics, like I really try to pause and not want to take it in. Or I'm really conscious of how much online content I consume, how much political content. I don't like horror or how, like, I don't like horror movies. I don't like scary movies because it creates this mindset. At least for me, I can only speak from I statements, but taking in that type of information, it causes imbalance in my body. And then thinking about that on the flip side, taking in these really positive experiences and showing that having connections with people in your community and them being positive and engaging and loving and kind. I would just assume that that's going to create a deep sense of belonging and connection and rootedness. Jacob's in the stage of his life where, um, if we think of the chakra system, he's currently developing his root chakra. And so they say like the first 7 years of a person's life is very, very important, but especially the first 3 years. And that's when the root chakra is developing. So what you want is to make sure that they have a deep sense of home, belonging, connection, nurturance, and all of those like themes and topics that are surrounded with that chakra. And so, and then like as they age, it kind of like moves, it moves up and you can start developing those systems. So one thing that I've come to realize over my years of, beginning my healing journey or continuing my healing journey is that when you look back and you start healing issues in the root, like we're literally talking about issues and things that happened in the first like 3 years of your life. And like think about how far tucked back into your mind that is. And the fact that it's ingrained and imprinted in your body in such a like subconscious way, because you were not in a like prefrontal cortex type state when something happened to you. Like that is all rooted, it literally rooted in the body, right? And so these first 3 years for me, again, I have to speak from my statements, but I don't feel comfortable with Jacob being in a daycare full time. I just don't. I also don't feel comfortable with him being with other people for super long stretches of time. He has his family, and I trust them in the way that I do, but he's only with them for, 2 hours at a time, pretty much maximum. And, there's that part of me that's like, oh, Jess, you're being so overbearing and all consuming. But then there's that part of me that realizes that this time is going to go so fast, and he simply is in that stage of life where he has to develop his foundation, his steady foundation. And I know that if there's any ambiguity during these first 3 years, that's going to cause a ripple effect throughout his life that I do not want. And that's why I am so protective over the fact that I want him to be surrounded by so much love and light and to feel so loved and whole and complete and safe, because that is going to set him up in the future so that he's whole within himself on that root foundational level, because I can only wish that for all of us. And I have this beautiful opportunity to provide that for him in the best way that I can. And like, it's such a big blessing. And it's so healing for me. And it also brings up, I've really come to realize, like, I think it was 2 days ago, I mentioned I had a day. And I was just like angry and raging. And those moments are the ones that I realize where like my healing needs to still happen, because I have these root issues and they come up alongside him. And I get to heal myself through providing what I did not have, which led to my imbalances in that area, and like what comes up for me because of that. I get to see that within him. It's a mirror for me to see what gets brought up in myself that I need to heal, and then to create action steps to ensure that he does not feel that way and that his needs are met, so that in the future he's going to have, I'm going to say, less healing to do, because I'm not perfect, and I'm never going to move through this parenting journey being perfect and to fully satisfy those needs. It's a lot to ask. We just do the best that we can, and we support them, we support ourselves. But it's beautiful. It's a beautiful path of healing. But I'm just so grateful to be in it and to be responsible for creating this foundation for the next generation, for healing myself and my ancestral lineage, and by stopping as best I can the pain, the hurt, the suffering, the trauma, the generational curses, if you will, the generational issues, if you will. Such a blessing. Wow. That got deep. Wow. I didn't expect it to go into that. Holy moly. I guess I just needed to express today. If you're still here, thank you so much for listening. Take a big deep breath if you can. Let's release all that together. Thank you for being on this journey. Thank you so much for sharing your time and your energy with me. I'll see you tomorrow.